Number 5 on our list are the Rascals. Oh, that card exists! Yes, the Rascals are probably the most forgettable card in the game. For 5 Elixir, you'd expect at least some decent defensive value, but most of the time you just get a 5 Elixir Knight, because the girls get taken out so easily. Whether it's Log or the dominant Vines spell, the recent rework did nothing. Sure, the Rascal Boy can actually pack a punch despite his wooden sword, but most of the time the Rascal girls get taken out, leaving the Rascal Boy all alone. The only time they were relevant recently was in some log bait deck, but that immediately disappeared once the meta shifted thanks to this furnace. So, my buff idea, it sounds pretty major, but I think it's the only way to bring this card back, is to make the Rascal Girls survive to log. It's the opposite of the whole Firecracker should die to log thing, but I think this is just enough to bring this card back, at least to some usability, because literally no one runs this card, whether it's casual, top ladder, or cheesy players who like 2v2 and stuff. As for the evolution idea, I would make it so that the Rascal Girls are either immune to damage as long as the Rascal Boy is alive, or that the Rascal Boy will tank all damage for the Rascal Girls. It's both a unique mechanic and something that would help this card back to the meta. Number 4 on our list is the Rune Giant. We all know how her debut was. She sucked, but then was overbuffed so she can give Supercell some money, and then nuked to oblivion after they made their bag. The thing is, for 4 Elixir, Rune Giant doesn't pack a punch and dies way too fast, despite the recent HP buff. And her gimmick is just so cursed. It makes your whole deck revolve around it, causing some decks to have Lumberjack, Firecracker maybe, Dart Goblin, Little Prince. It's already pretty cursed once you think about it. And at the same time, the gimmick barely lasts because the moment she dies, the gimmick is no longer permanent as it used to be. So, my buff idea is just going to be another HP buff because she has to at least survive a bit. Let's give her a whopping 10% HP buff and maybe a 7% damage buff so she can actually become a little more threatening once she gets to the Crown Tower. And for the evolution idea, it will be 2 cycles. We don't need any more 1 cycle 4 Elixir evolution except the Goblin Cage. Basically, now the Rune Giant will be can target up to 4 units, and at the same time they will have their hit speed buffed so the mechanic can work even more. The hit speed buff will be 35%, but only 20% to targets that have 1.3 seconds of hit speed or anything less, so that it doesn't become too cheesy. I think this should bring Rune Giant back to the meta and give players a convincing reason to use her. Similarly, the number 3 in our spot is going to be the Void. The Void, again, was just a cash grab released in May 2024. For 3 Elixir, it used to kill Sparky and deal ridiculous damage. Now it has pretty much no use. It's supposed to be a mini tank killer, but most of the time, your opponent has fast enough reflexes to counter it, and you're just better off picking other stuff like Fireball. So my buff idea for the Void will just be for anything that's not single target damage. Just buff anything that's not single target damage by maybe 10% or something like that, so the Void just doesn't become absolutely useless once there are like at least more than 2 targets or something like that. As for the evolution idea, I have 2 ideas. Either make it so that it will automatically do the single big strike to the highest HP unit, sounds a bit too strong, but or the other one, which is going to be that if the Void gets the big strike, it will last another tick, as in another second, but the maximum extra time will be plus 3 ticks. This should help the Void last longer and actually pack a punch as a mini tank killer. Number 2 on our list is the Battle Healer. It was already a bad idea to introduce her from the start. At least we didn't get the raw healer card from Clash of Clans, but still, she's extremely unhealthy. Either she's broken or trash, and she's just so dependent on Elixir Golem. Giving her a buff or nerf won't really do anything, it will just make her more toxic, so she needs a rework. So my idea is that first of all, we will buff her damage by around 8% so she can actually pack a punch because her hit speed is abysmal, same for her damage. But as a compensation, we will nerf her HP by 9% and make it so that like the healing cannot stack if there's another battle healer, to prevent things like this situation you're seeing in this video. So, will this actually fix the battle healer? I have no idea. As for the evolution idea, it will be 2-cycle, and no, I'm not going to bring some cursed resurrection mechanic. Basically, the healer will now like just have a constant healing zone around her. Simple as that. Nothing too creative, nothing crazy, but just to make it so that the battle healer can at least give more value. The healing zone will have half the healing of the main attack, and it will tick every second or something like that. I have no idea if this will really be enough to bring the battle healer back, but I just want to see such an interesting card to come back to the meta. It's just a shame that there are so many unique cards that don't get the spotlight because of how flawed they are in terms of design. And finally, number 1 on our list, it's not Huttington, it's going to be the Three Musketeers, because people seem glad with the state of Huttington somehow. So, the thing is, Three Musketeers are just, first of all, they're the most expensive card to play. At 9 elixir, you'd expect some value, but most of the time they get countered and give negative elixir trades, like get countered by vines, poison, any sort of splash damage that is especially present in ladders such as Valkyrie, Mega Knight, and Firecracker. All of these are positive elixir trades. The thing is, again, it's a risky card to play, and to be meta, it needs a some sort of big spell bait deck, and at the same time, the only time they were relevant was around 2017, when Pump was at least somewhat decent and Heal Spell carried them. But now there's no healing card that can help them this much. You can't pair Three Musketeers with Battle Healer unless you just wish to go on a losing streak. So, my one suggested in Reddit an interesting rework idea: make each musketeer different. For example, the one will be the base, second will have less hit speed but more damage, etc. And the third would have maybe more range but less damage and stuff like that. While it sounds interesting, I had another idea in mind, which is just to completely change the card. Just make it 2 musketeers for 6 elixir or something like that. So, the evolution idea, I mean, I'm just going to keep it like just the concept of that guy, because mine sounds like much worse. Anyways, so the evolution concept would be pretty simple. It's just that they will have some resistance to splash damage, like 25% resistance to splash damage, or maybe 30%. Like, that includes most spells, except single target ones like lightning and void and stuff like that, and vines. So, I don't know if this will really bring back Three Musketeers, and most people don't want to see a meta of Three Musketeers, but hey, every card can be saved, just like what happened with Bowler when he used to be 6 elixir, but then was tuned back to, like, down to 5, and he went from a mid-ladder menace to a healthy anti-meta card. That's it for the video. Anyways, goodbye.